they can take care of themselves. That is profoundly beneficial to society.
One of the things that we have seen in this country is a widening wealth gap. The question is, what role, if any, the Fed has played in widening that wealth gap?
Well, this is a great point. I'm glad you raised it. Most people who make this argument ignore the fact that for many Americans, they don't own a house, they don't own stocks, they don't have a 401k. The most valuable asset they have is their job. So by putting people back to work and helping them boost their wages, we are actually making their most valuable asset more valuable.
Middle class economics works. President Obama today in Wisconsin fired up over jobs. 223,000 added in June.
In fact, by 2015, the employment numbers were improving dramatically. The critics I spoke to said the Fed's focus on jobs was missing the full picture. I mean, Neil Kashkari told me that a job is a great asset.
This may be. I'm not so sure that's true for the folks working 3 jobs behind the counter at the supermarket. Sorry, I think that is an elitist assumption of what labor income is good for.
Karen Petru is an unlikely critic of a central bank. We've got Steve here.
That's all I got.
She spent her career inside the financial system, advising banks and big investors. Here's a 500. 2015 to 2020 was actually considered a time of recovery. Unemployment was getting to record lows, and there was a kind of conventional wisdom that the economy was in a good place at that point in time. So you disagreed with that?
I did, because most Americans disagreed with that. The majority of Americans said they were economically anxious. Significant percentages of people who were in the statistical middle class were skipping medical treatments because they didn't think they could afford them. 40% of the United States didn't have $400 in a rainy day fund, and they were at risk of imminent financial peril if the tire blew. And that's not the sign of a place.
What about this idea that there was record unemployment?
Record unemployment was judged the way conventionally the Fed chooses to judge it, not by taking into account the people sitting out working because they couldn't get enough wages with their jobs and going to work paid. Employment was fine, so by at least some numbers, wages weren't. And people work to eat. They don't work because of some, noble ideal.
So just to understand, what was wrong with the models that the Fed was using in order to judge the success of their programs?
Paul Krugman, a well-known economist, is a great example. You got 4 guys in a bar, each one of whom is making $60,000 a year. Jeff Bezos walks into the bar. And he's making $2 gazillion. Does that mean that the 4 guys in the bar are doing any better? No. It doesn't. It's distorting statistics. You have to look at how much each person has, not at what the averages are, to understand what's going on in the economy. And when 4 out of 5 guys in the bar are not doing well, the country isn't doing well.
The growing sense that the system was not working for the poor and middle class became a central theme of Donald Trump's populist campaign.
Sadly, the American dream is dead.
When you have a society with the middle struggling and the rich realizing almost unimaginable gains, it starts to corrode the civic foundation.
We have to bring the people to our country's a mess.
People start to feel like this cliche we hear all the time, that the system is rigged.
Like we said, the system is rigged. You know what? It isn't sticking where we're all thinking, but it's seen in the public domain, the same political domain.
The fact that a huge portion of Americans were willing to vote for a president like Donald Trump, who's like entire campaigns that really burning down the system.
We are going to
That doesn't just happen in a vacuum.
We are going to fix our inner cities and rebuild our highways, bridges, tunnels, airports, schools, hospitals.
It was a moment of potential for the Fed's easy money policies. Trump promised to take advantage of the low interest rates and create jobs by investing in new infrastructure.
We will create millions of new jobs and make millions of American dreams come true.
But once in office, the political paralysis in Washington only intensified.
Congress simply hasn't been willing to find the amount of money necessary to do it.
Making big economic investments all but impossible.
There just wasn't the political cohesion to push through these major programs. And you saw a lot of op-eds by a lot of economists and even Fed bankers themselves after the first or second or certainly third and fourth round of quantitative easing. They were saying, please